Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Before you say anything, I want you to notice your heartbeat for just a second. Because whether you realize it or not, there's a woman out there whose entire perception of you could change with a single sentence you speak. And most men never learn how to do this right. They either overdo it, underdo it, or worse, accidentally compliment her in a way that lowers their own value. So if you want the kind of presence that makes a younger woman pause, look up and think, who is this guy? Then stay right here with me. And before we dive deeper, go ahead and like this video and subscribe, because I promise you, what I'm about to reveal will shift the way you communicate with women forever. Here's the truth most men never hear. Younger women don't respond to compliments the way you think they do. They're used to generic praise, empty flattery, and surface-level attention that feels copy-pasted from 1,000 other men. What actually captivates them, what stops them in their tracks, is a compliment that reflects emotional intelligence, awareness, and maturity. And that's where your power lies, not in being louder or flashier or trying to prove something. Your power is in seeing her in a way most men simply cannot. When a younger woman feels truly seen, everything changes. Her guard softens, her curiosity rises, her respect for you increases instantly, not because you're trying to impress her, but because your words carry the weight of calm, masculine certainty. And yes, this is rare, which is exactly why it's so magnetic. Women today swim in a sea of constant validation, and yet they feel more unseen than ever. So the man who pays attention with intention stands out effortlessly. But here's the twist. The best compliments you can give her are not about worshipping her beauty. They're about recognizing her effort, her emotional depth, her self-awareness, and the way she moves through the world. Younger women crave recognition for the parts of themselves they feel go unnoticed. And when you highlight those subtle qualities in an authentic, grounded way, you don't just attract her. You differentiate yourself from every man she has ever met. So stay with me, because what I'm about to teach you isn't just compliments. It's the psychology of high-value communication. And once you master it, something shifts in every interaction you have. Let's be brutally honest. Most men completely misunderstand what makes a younger woman feel respected and genuinely attracted. They think it's about being funny, flashy, or showering her with attention. And while these things might get her to glance your way, they will never make her linger in your presence or feel that magnetic pull toward you. Attraction, real, deep, lingering attraction, is built on recognition. It's built on the ability to see her essence and verbalize it in a way that feels rare, powerful, and honest. That's the difference between a man who's forgettable and a man who leaves her thinking about him long after he's gone. When you deliver a high-value compliment, it's subtle, nuanced, and layered. It's not just a single line, it's an energy. For example, noticing how she handles a difficult situation with grace, or the way her laugh fills a room with warmth, or how she lights up when she talks about something she's passionate about. These are the kinds of observations that create an internal wow moment for her. You don't even need to overcomplicate it. The words themselves matter, yes, but the underlying truth is, she feels seen. That feeling is irresistible. Here's a key psychological insight most men overlook. Women are naturally attuned to emotional honesty. They can smell pretense from a mile away. So if you give a compliment just to get something from her, she won't feel it. It will land flat, or worse, feel manipulative. But when your words reflect genuine perception, when they communicate that you've actually noticed her beyond the surface, something powerful happens. Her subconscious mind registers you as a man who is present, self-assured, and high value. That's the foundation of attraction. Another critical point, timing is everything. Dropping a compliment too early, too frequently, or too mechanically can destroy the effect. You must earn the space to speak into her reality. Let her feel your stability first, your calm confidence, your value in action. Once that foundation exists, your words become catalytic. A single, well-placed, deeply felt compliment can shift her perception of you entirely. She'll start associating you with validation she's never experienced, and that, my friend, is magnetic. By now you should understand this isn't about flattery. It's about high-level awareness, emotional intelligence, and precision. When you master this, you don't just attract her, You command respect, curiosity, and desire effortlessly. This is the secret most men will never know, and if you truly absorb this, it will change how women respond to you forever. Let's cut through the noise. Younger women today are bombarded with shallow praise every single day. You're beautiful. You look nice. I like your style. These lines are meaningless because they're everywhere. What makes a man unforgettable isn't repeating what everyone else says. It's pointing out what no one else sees, what no one else bothers to notice. It's your insight into her personality, her intellect, her habits, her subtle strengths. That is where true high-value attraction lives. Think about this. When a woman feels truly recognized, she feels safe, understood, and secretly impressed. It's a rare experience for her. Most men simply talk at her instead of to her reality. They comment on what's obvious, or they overcompensate with charm or bravado. You, however, are different. You speak in a way that reveals your perception and emotional awareness. You notice the small things, how she interacts with others, the consistency in her effort, the quiet confidence she exudes when she's in her element. These observations are gold because they communicate value without saying, "I'm interested in you." They communicate respect, intelligence, and presence. Here's a truth most men fail to grasp. The most powerful compliments make her feel elevated, not by inflating her ego, but by validating her identity. A compliment about her unique perspective, her ambition, or her capacity to handle life's challenges resonates far deeper than any comment about appearance. It tells her that you see her, not the version of her everyone else obsesses over. And when she feels this, she begins to subconsciously associate you with authenticity, depth, and strength, qualities that every woman desires but rarely finds consistently. Now, I need you to understand this. Delivery is just as critical as content. Confidence, calmness, and timing amplify the effect. Don't rush. Don't pile on compliments. A single, well-timed insight has more impact than a dozen shallow praises. Let your tone carry certainty. Let your body language reinforce that your words aren't casual. They're deliberate. Your energy will speak louder than the words themselves, and that energy will make her feel a magnetic pull toward you without you trying to force it. Finally, recognize that this skill sets you apart in ways most men can't even imagine. While others chase attention and validation, you quietly establish value, presence, and respect. When you master giving compliments that make her feel seen, you shift the dynamic. You move from being just another admirer to being someone rare, memorable, and impossible to ignore. That is the psychology of high-value attraction. Here's something most men never realize. The words you choose don't just influence her feelings, they shape her perception of who you are. A high-value compliment tells her, without saying it outright, that you operate on a level beyond the average man. You're not needy, you're not seeking validation, you're discerning, aware, and emotionally intelligent. And that, believe me, is incredibly rare. Women notice it instantly, even if they can't put it into words. Now, let's get practical. Compliments that create real attraction often highlight qualities she may take for granted or assume are invisible. Maybe it's the way she handles a difficult conversation without losing her composure. Maybe it's her ability to balance ambition with kindness, or her knack for turning ordinary moments into memorable experiences. These are subtle, sophisticated observations that demonstrate you see more than the obvious. And when you express this authentically, it communicates something profoundly magnetic, that you recognize and value depth. Here's the psychological core of why this works. Humans crave acknowledgement of their individuality. Women are no different. When you articulate what makes her uniquely impressive, she feels understood in a way that triggers admiration and curiosity. She starts associating you with insight and emotional awareness, the traits that separate the men who are fun for a night from the men who occupy her mind long after the interaction ends. This isn't manipulation. It's high-level emotional intelligence applied correctly. Timing and subtlety are essential. Drop a compliment too early, and it may seem forced. Deliver it without context, and it loses impact. The secret is to observe, wait, and speak in moments that feel natural, almost unplanned. When you do this, your words land like they were always meant to be heard. Her brain registers this differently than ordinary praise. It creates a sense of respect and intrigue that builds attraction silently but powerfully. Finally, understand this. The most effective compliments don't inflate her ego, they elevate her perception of your value. By focusing on qualities that reflect depth, character, and emotional intelligence, you subtly position yourself as a man of worth and stability. She doesn't just hear you, she feels you, and that feeling is the spark that leads to real connection, curiosity, and desire. Remember, this is about more than just what you say. It's about how you see the world and how that perception communicates strength, intelligence, and authenticity. Master this, and you're no longer competing with the crowd. You're standing apart. You're the man she can't forget. Let's get even deeper. The power of a well-crafted compliment lies in its subtlety. You're not trying to impress her with grand statements or overt declarations of admiration. Instead, you're revealing that you notice the nuances, things most men miss entirely. This is what separates high-value men from the average guy who's constantly chasing attention. When you highlight qualities she's quietly proud of, you bypass superficiality and communicate depth, intelligence, and discernment. That's magnetic. Think about her daily life for a moment. How often does someone really notice her resilience, her creativity, or her quiet confidence? Rarely. Most men focus on appearance or superficial charm. You, however, are capable of seeing what's beneath the surface. A simple remark like acknowledging the way she handled a stressful situation or pointing out a detail she's clearly worked hard on can trigger a profound emotional response. She feels seen, valued, and understood. That feeling is unforgettable. Here's an important psychological principle. Women are wired to detect authenticity. If your compliment feels rehearsed, superficial, or transactional, it fails. But when it comes from genuine observation, delivered with calm confidence, it creates an internal recognition of your value. She doesn't just hear the words, she feels your presence. She starts to associate you with emotional intelligence, strength, and stability, which are foundational traits of attraction. Another critical factor is pacing. You don't unload every compliment at once. Strategic, well-timed observations carry far more weight than a flood of praise. Let her experience the gradual awareness that you see her differently than anyone else. Let her curiosity build. When she senses that your words are deliberate and intentional, she subconsciously elevates you in her mind. You are no longer just another man. Your attention becomes rare, valuable, and coveted. And here's the truth most men ignore. Giving a compliment that truly resonates isn't about flattery. It's about validation of her identity. When you articulate what makes her unique, you're not feeding her ego. You're reinforcing her individuality and your own high-value position. This creates a silent dynamic of respect and intrigue, making her naturally want to engage more with you. The more she experiences this subtle recognition, the more she perceives you as someone extraordinary. By now, you should see the pattern. High-value compliments are precise, intentional, and emotionally intelligent. They highlight the unseen, validate authenticity, and create a magnetic pull that most men will never understand. Master this, and you'll shift not just how she sees you, but how she thinks about you, long after the conversation ends. Now let's bring it all together, because this is where most men completely fail. They think attraction is about effort, persistence, or saying the right lines. But the reality is far more subtle and far more powerful. True high-value attraction comes from understanding psychology, timing, and perception. It comes from noticing the unseen, appreciating the nuanced, and delivering a compliment that communicates both awareness and self-assured presence. That is how you leave an impression that lingers. A younger woman isn't impressed by words alone. She's impressed by insight, by perception, and by the sense that you exist on a different level than the crowd around her. That's why your compliments must reflect depth and authenticity. Comment on her intelligence, her creativity, her sense of humor, or the way she makes others feel when she's in a room. Notice her resilience, her determination, the way she handles challenges gracefully. These are the qualities that she secretly values in herself, but rarely hears acknowledged. and your recognition of them sets you apart instantly. Here's the subtle genius of this approach. When you compliment in this high-value way, you're not just making her feel good, you're shaping the story she tells herself about you. She begins to associate you with emotional intelligence, stability, and genuine insight. She starts to feel a pull toward your energy, a magnetic interest that grows quietly but powerfully. It's a dynamic most men never understand, yet it's the foundation of all lasting attraction. Timing, tone, and intention remain everything. Deliver your compliment with calm confidence, not desperation. Make it precise, deliberate, and naturally placed within the flow of conversation. A single, well-timed acknowledgement of her unique qualities can outweigh hours of shallow flattery from other men. She senses your authenticity instantly, and that perception of value becomes irresistible. Finally, remember this: giving high-value compliments isn't about manipulation or pretending to be someone you're not. It's about sharpening your awareness, recognizing what others miss, and communicating it with confidence. It's about being a man who sees deeply, speaks deliberately, and moves with a quiet, magnetic presence. When you master this skill, you don't just attract younger women, you leave them thinking about you, admiring you, and longing for your attention, all without trying too hard. This is the secret most men will never know, the silent psychology that elevates you above the crowd. Master it, internalize it, and watch how your presence transforms every interaction. You are no longer just another man, you are the one she can't forget.